Luis had lived in the forest cabin for 3 years, ever since the Galactic Council declared Earth a protected wilderness zone and relocated most of humanity to sterile colony worlds. He was one of the few who'd refused to leave, stubbornly clinging to the home his grandfather had built with human hands using human wood, on human soil. The creek behind his property had always been his sanctuary. On humid summer evenings, he would sit on the mossy bank and listen to the water sing over ancient stones. But tonight, the creek held something impossible. She emerged from the water like a vision from mythology. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that rippled across her shoulders and down her spine in waves of azure and silver. 4 graceful arms moved through the water with hypnotic fluidity, and her elongated form suggested she came from a world with different gravity, different rules. She was breathtaking. Alien, yes, but possessing a beauty that transcended species. Luis froze behind the oak tree, his heart hammering. The Galactic Council had forbidden unauthorized alien presence on Earth. Whatever species she belonged to, she wasn't supposed to be here any more than he was supposed to still be living here. The alien woman cupped water in her upper hands and poured it over her head. Her hair, if it could be called that, floated around her like living silk, each strand seeming to possess its own will. She hummed something melodic, haunting. A song that made Luis think of oceans on worlds he'd never see. Then she turned toward the bank, and Luis saw her face. He had expected something exotic, something beautiful in an alien way. What he saw instead made his breath catch for entirely different reasons. Her face was a ruin. Scar tissue covered the left side, pulling her features into an asymmetrical mask. 3 parallel marks like claw wounds ran from her temple to her jaw. Whatever had happened to her had been catastrophic and permanent. But her eyes, her large iridescent eyes, held an expression Luis recognized immediately. It was the look of someone who bathed alone in secret places, far from where others might see. The look of someone who knew what it meant to be stared at, to be pitied, to be considered broken. Luis knew that look because he'd worn it himself for 2 years after the accident at the terraforming station. The explosion that had taken his left arm and left the right side of his body covered in keloid scars. The accident that had made him choose isolation over the whispered sympathies of others. The woman's eyes suddenly locked onto his hiding spot. She moved with startling speed, gathering what looked like clothing from the bank. Her lower hands reached for something, probably a weapon. "Wait!" Luis stepped out from behind the tree, his remaining hand raised in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm not going to report you. I'm not going to hurt you." She froze, her luminescent patterns flickering through rapid color changes. Alarm, he guessed, or maybe battle readiness. She spoke in a language of melodic tones that his neural translator struggled to process before finally rendering it into English. "You are human. This is human world. I am trespassing. So am I, technically," Luis said with a sad smile. He gestured to the cabin behind him. "I'm not supposed to be here either. They evacuated Earth, remember? But this is my home. I'm not leaving." Her patterns slowed their frantic dance. "You defy your own council's orders?" "Every single day." She tilted her head, studying him with those remarkable eyes. Then her gaze traveled to his missing arm, to the scars visible above his collar. Something shifted in her expression. Recognition, perhaps. "Kinship. I am Ava," she said finally, making a gesture with her upper right hand that might have been a greeting, "of the Celestine Dominion. My ship, damaged. I crash-landed in your ocean, made my way here. I have been hiding for 23 of your days repairing my vessel." "Luis," he replied, mimicking her gesture. "Of Earth. Of nowhere else, no matter what the Council says." They stood in silence for a moment. 2 refugees on a planet neither was supposed to inhabit. The creek continued its eternal song between them. Eva's patterns shifted to what Luis was beginning to recognize as curiosity. "You do not recoil. Most species react to my face with discomfort. Even my own people. That is why I travel alone now." Luis descended the bank slowly, giving her space to retreat if she wanted. She didn't. "I used to hide too," he said quietly. "After my accident. Couldn't stand the way people looked at me, like I was something tragic, something to be fixed or pitied." He looked directly at her scarred face. "But you know what I learned hiding out here for 3 years?" "What did you learn?" "That scars just mean you survived something. And surviving makes you stronger than whatever tried to break you. He smiled, also that humans are really stubborn. We don't know when to quit, when to give up, when to accept what other people say we should be. It's kind of our species' whole thing. Ava's patterns flickered through several colors Louise couldn't interpret before settling on a warm gold. This is why your species concerns the Council. This stubbornness comes because we won't abandon our home planet, because you refuse to accept limitations, because you survive, because you are perhaps dangerous in ways that have nothing to do with weapons or fleets. She paused. Because you look at a scarred Celestine warrior and see not a monster but a person. Louise laughed. Is that really so dangerous? To a galaxy built on hierarchies and predetermined roles? Yes, perhaps the most dangerous thing of all. They talked until dawn, two damaged souls finding unexpected common ground. Eva told him of the Battle of the Crimson Nebula, where she'd earned her scars saving her crew. Louise told her about the terraforming accident, about choosing solitude over sympathy. When Ava's ship was finally repaired, she returned to the creek one last time. The Council will eventually force you to leave, she said. Louise grinned that stubborn human grin. They can try. That is what I thought you would say. She touched his shoulder with her upper left hand, a gesture of respect among her people. The galaxy is not ready for humans, Louise of Earth. You do not fit into our categories. You survive what should destroy you. You find beauty where others see only damage. You refuse to yield your home. Is that a compliment or a warning? Ava's patterns rippled with something that might have been laughter. Both. Definitely both. She left that morning, her ship rising silent through the forest canopy. But Louis never felt alone again, because he knew that somewhere out there in the vast indifferent galaxy was someone who understood, someone who'd been broken and had survived, someone who knew what it meant to be human, even if she'd never been born on Earth. And that, Louise thought, was the real story of humanity. Not that they conquered the stars, but that they made the stars a little less lonely for everyone else who lived there.